What's good, comic book family? As you can see, we are a full house today. Welcome from all over the world. Welcome to the basics, not the basics, the back to basics, a comic book podcast. We are beyond basic. We are the team who met because of the love of the medium, and now we are stuck together forever. Try to pry us apart, it won't happen. So if you're looking for something new, refreshing, tailored to the nostalgia of yesteryear, or you're just a new collector trying to figure out their way through this madness, you came to the right spot. My name is Gen X, and I'm the Puerto Rock extraordinaire from Brooklyn, New York, by way of parents from the island known as Borican, aka Puerto Rico, to the rest of the world. I love this community, and we are dedicating all of this work to those who gave us the platform to do what we do, you all. So we acknowledge that we couldn't be here to do this without you all and the people who created the heroes we have grown to love. And thank you all for that. And
My name is Ebony Keys from the Sunshine State, and I am proud to be here, y'all, with all of y'all to throw some education your way while I captivate your minds that bring us back to basics. This trio has been working hard to change the game, and we don't do it without the support of our community, friends, and family.
Most,
And
most deaf, and it's your boy Tempos, bringing a mix of comics and culture to your ear. You know who it is. I'm definitely the man with the most complete sets. I'm gonna hold that. I'm gonna own it. I'm the man that love to flex. Y'all know who it is. Let's take it back to basics. Let's go.
All
let's
right.
go.
right, so just to give you, this is how crazy the stream is gonna be today. Our people already showed up. Look, Marcus just yelled out, "Yo!" He's
Yo,
ready.
Yo,
You know what I'm
yo.
saying? So Marcus, we appreciate you. We are streaming. We started this podcast because we noticed something was missing and we wanted to press the reset button, to be quite honest. And we also saw that a lot of things that we were seeing in the medium was status quo. And we wanted to, we wanted representation from all identities. So we believe that the stories told are a reflection of the human experience. And so we go deep, deep, we be digging. We
yeah,
talk about issues about race, ethnicity, gender, mental health, and other human challenges. We also highlight amazing artists, writers, publishing companies, known and unknown, by interviewing them and giving them their shine because they deserve it. And you can count on us to tackle themes and also make sure that we're bringing you back to basics. So, enough of the formalities. I almost rapped. I was about to go back to my Brooklyn
Okay.
night self. Woo! Oh my gosh. Okay.
Right.
Now the good heroics from you come into play. Tell everybody, subscribe to our channel, like and share, and most importantly, follow us on Instagram. We're really easy to follow, and then you can DM us and we could have a real conversation. So we
Right.
are all personalities in our own right, and together we aim to flex our powers for good. And in all seriousness, we want and need your support. We want you to dialogue with us today. So make sure that you're in the chat doing it big time. So engage with each other and the guests we bring on. We want to be professors and students within this space. So we are always going to be learning and teaching, always from each other, and bringing things back to the great days of collecting, back to basics. So today's show is part two of our conversation about crazy, ravenous, and unrelenting chihuahuas. And this is going to be a fun episode because we have to tell you, this is another live event on YouTube and Twitch, and we have a great show for you. So this time around, we'll have again the creatives, like I said, behind the Night of the Chihuahuas, and they have some amazing new books coming our way and some updates and things of that nature. So I am going to play a little bit of a video. It's going to be hilarious. But before I do that, let me make sure. Marcus said, "Flex fam, that's our family. They show up
yeah.
hard." Well, here we go. We're going to show a little bit of the video of the Night of the Chihuahua. So
Awesome.
Nice.
Awesome. All right. So thanks, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. And let me just do a little bit of an introduction of these two amazing people, David Quiros Jr. and Victor Irizarry. Let's start with the creator and writer himself, David Quiros. David is an Arizona native that lives in Phoenix with his wife, kids, and two terrible dogs.
Terrible dogs.
Not terrible, David. Not terrible. Come on now, they can't be that bad.
Are they
And he,
Chihuahuas?
are they joy?
Yep. I actually work with rescue, and one of them is a Chihuahua Dachshund mix, but he is the fattest Chihuahua on record. So
Nice.
Okay, well, poor baby, poor baby.
yeah, we don't try to body shame him too
No,
much, but but the boy's got some thickness. That's all.
okay.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with a little bit of thickness.
Right?
I don't know.
All right.
I'm sorry, Miss Keys. We done got off the rails. Look
I
at
know,
this.
right?
Already, that's what I do. Right away. You let me talk, and I immediately pull us
Hey,
off the
nothing
rails.
wrong with that. So, David, he is currently has several comic books in development, including Adventures of Gabe's Cave, Legends of Maynard Lake, and he has created and wrote the horror fiction podcast Red Riding Hoods, which was produced by Violet Hour Media in a feature film, Big Buck Massacre. Well, that sounds kind of interesting. I don't know about that.
It's gonna be interesting for sure.
Now on to Victor. Victor J. Irizarry, born
You-
in.
You didn't write that great job with my name.
I did? Yeah,
Yes.
I did it, y'all. I did
Yeah.
it. I did it. All right. All right. Victor J. Irizarry, born in Humacao,
Yep.
Puerto
Oh my
Rico.
cow. Oh my cow.
Humacao.
You did. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
Humacao. Up
Yeah.
there. See, I'm gonna see.
Yeah.
Honorary. We told you were honorary.
Okay, I got this. Not only is he a teacher of visual storytelling at Arizona State University, but he is also a comic book creator of covers that we know to this day, y'all. To this day. In the years since, Victor had a career as a concept artist and cover artist for, can y'all guess? Image Comics, y'all. Image. Working on exclusive covers for titles including Ice Cream Man, number 25, Lady Mechanica, number 1, the most recent Zombies versus Robots, number 1, published 5 books, y'all. 5 books. And is the creator of Red, RED, Robotic Enhanced Device.
Yep.
Now, Victor lives in Arizona with his wife, 2 amazing boys, and 2 beautiful dogs. You notice I didn't say terrible, but
They are beautiful. They are beautiful.
now my bro tempos would jumpstart our conversation and get us into the minds of these amazing creators.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
So on our first live, we was talking to Nate, and he was telling us, how his part of how y'all met, the family, how y'all got together. I want to hear y'all side of the story. I'm sure it's more of a fascinating tale because the way Nate was saying it is definitely all love and support. But tell me how y'all met, how were y'all introduced to each other, and how it followed from there.
Yeah, so I know Nate and I met many, many, many years ago because he was doing film reviews for a startup magazine called A to Z, and I was an independent filmmaker and made some movies, and so he asked if he could get some review screening copies since we were local here to Phoenix, and he ended up really enjoying them, wrote some very nice write-ups, and then afterwards he was like, "What's your next project? I'd like to work with you on that." So we got our start doing film together. And then the market kind of dried up for independent production. Just what the distributors are paying was not, nearly what you were putting into the production. So we went dormant for a little while. I focused on writing, and then I had these big ideas that it was like, I'm never going to get the money to put them on film. But meanwhile, I was consuming every comic book I could find, and I was like, you know what? I think I've got this idea about killer chihuahuas, and it's ludicrous and hilarious, but it cannot be done without like animal trainers and like an army of chihuahuas and all this other stuff. And I started thinking about how it would look as a layout, as like you're opening these comic book pages, and how amazing that would be. And so I started scripting it, but I still didn't have any ins with the industry. And so Nathan was still working to get those connections, and we reconnected, and he said, "Hey, I would like to help you get this done." And the rest is Killer Chihuahua history, I guess, for lack of a better term.
All right.
And then we're fortunate enough to meet Victor. Victor works with a local comic book shop called Monster Comics,
Yeah.
and we were both at the launch of that comic book shop. Got to meet each other, saw his work. It's amazing, as you've seen, and we hit it
Yes.
off. And we're fortunate enough to work together.
Yeah, yeah. It was at a mini Comic Con actually, or a mini con that they put together. I mean, I don't work there, but I spend enough time there that they should pay me.
Yeah.
With that. But yeah, Monster Comics, they definitely are very supportive of the local, artists and artists in general. I mean, I feel like in Phoenix, there's like a handful of people that are very strong supporters of the art, and the storytelling, visual storytelling. And so they do this different. We always have our go tos, right? We call each other. The artists talk to each other, and we were tabling together. And then I met David there, and Nathan came over and said, "Hey, man, how do you feel about doing a cover?" And I'm like, "Let's roll with it. Let's do this." And then when he told me the concept, I'm like, "Heck yeah, let's do it."
Nice. That is
But
awesome.
I bet a whole bunch of ideas popped in your head that day.
Right.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I still have the original sketch. I want to show you guys later, but
I
yeah,
would
Ooh,
love to see that.
yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Funny enough that both of y'all bring that up. David, I really want to hear this. Your inspiration. And I hope I don't say the name wrong. I believe when you were in college, a lot of your inspiration come from your Chihuahua back in the day. Am I saying the right? Is it Coco or Cocoa?
Coco.
Coco.
Yep.
Okay. So I
Coco.
read about Coco. Like she was it was a little beast. Like tell me how that inspiration came.
Yeah. So I met this dog when I was in like junior high, and she was already old, and she was the meanest Chihuahua I've ever met. Like my nana owned her, and she chased all the kids off the yard. We all had to hide from her because she was vicious, but like she's so tiny. She was about like yay big, tiny, skinny, and old dog. And then my nana moved, and she couldn't take Coco with her, so she was like, "Do you guys want her?" And we were terrified. We're like, "What? This like demon dog?" And then she ended up bonding with me once we got her out of her yard. She bonded with me and became like my baby, to the point where I went off to college, and every time I came home from college, she would like look at me like a scorned girlfriend and like turn her back to me and leave and refuse to come. And then eventually she'd come back out and like just jump in my lap like nothing ever happened. But even during then, she would still like bully me out if I was sitting where she wanted to sit, or anything going on. She'd still growl and snap, and it just always made me laugh how mean she was, and how all these other chihuahuas that I met that were mean. And you're like, if you guys think that you're so big and tough, and if you had the strength to back up your attitudes, it would be illegal to own you. And then I started thinking, like, how funny would that be if these chihuahuas suddenly they were able to do all the things that they thought they could do. And then it just kind of rolled from there. And so Coco is the name of the main chihuahua in the comic book, that the character Erica holds in her
Mhm.
purse. And it's supposed to be like a spoof of, you know, the girl who keeps her chihuahua in her purse and treats it so nice, the chihuahua, versus the chihuahuas that are growing up in the yards and feral, and
Mhm.
they're the ones that get a hold of the serum that turns them into killer mutants. And so it's, yeah, we have some fun with it.
Yeah. I mean, reading the books, I we definitely asked Nate last time how a lot of these characters were created, developed. Like, what was these a lot of people that were in your life when you were writing about the characters themselves, or like did you just
Yes.
come up with them on the fly? Okay.
No, so I originally, when I wrote this, I was trying to think of a movie that I could shoot, and so I was writing it based on people that I knew, because I was going to cast them if we were able to get the movie done. So like the character Johnny is based on one of my best friends, Ron, who is like that big. He is like the big guy who's I. Ron is not anything like Johnny beyond that, but like he's got that kind of look, and I was like, how funny would it be to have you playing that stereotypical Arizona hillbilly who's just like driving around in his pickup truck, like having the time of his life fighting these mutants. Because like guys like him, this is what they dream of, right? It's like, oh, it's the apocalypse. Finally, I'm no longer the biggest loser in the neighborhood. I'm now the toughest guy in the neighborhood. And it's now time for them to, this is what they dream of. And then you've got Erica, who I based on my little sister because she is the one who owns the Chihuahua. Samantha was a conglomeration of just, I've always been a fan of powerful female action stars, Sarah Connor and Ada Wong in the Resident Evil video games. And so it's like I was drawn to this concept and kind of inspired by in Silent Hill, the female police officer, Sybil, I think her last name is Bennett, who shows up on the scene. And, that's kind of what gave me this idea of the police officer who shows up in the middle of just what the hell is going on. And she's the only voice of reason because, of course, Leon is a big doofus, as he's supposed to look like what you think the action hero will look like. And then you just find out he's completely incompetent. And he gets even more incompetent as the series goes on before he finally finds his redemption arc, which, spoiler alert, he's going to redeem himself. But, but he gets worse. He gets a lot worse. You haven't seen his... you haven't seen
David,
his weakest moments.
I do have to tell you, I think one day myself and Ms. Keys got on. We're actually reading through the comic book, and we actually did literally voiceovers for every single panel.
Yes,
nice.
I would love to have heard that.
I wish I recorded it. So if you ever,
I wish you did too.
It was hilarious. It was so funny. Myself and her daughter actually did it.
Yes,
as a tandem.
Nice.
We had a
that's
blast.
cool.
That's
cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. So Victor, not to switch gears, but okay, so now you get David's written pieces, and now you're looking to put them to life in this, this beautiful covers and also the work that comes with it. Tell us about that process first of all, because I've always wanted to be a comic book artist. And I used to be good,
so just to be fair, the art in the interior art's being done by Albert Morales, which a different artist. And I was invited to do a variant cover, kind of more of a hip hop cover inspired. And I was like, Nathan, David and Nathan kind of challenged me because I don't dwell in the horror. So this was kind of like, I love challenges, and I'm like, yeah, man, let's draw it. Let's do something different. And I was intrigued by the concept. It's just I grew up with Chihuahuas all my life. Puerto Rico, they're just like your alarm, basically. When somebody shows up at your house, they start barking. So I was like, heck yeah, man, let's do it. And I'm a strong supporter of the weird and the unique. And to me, that was just that's everything said. It was just everything aligned. So and these guys are good people, so I just sat down and started sketching, and my process goes, I'm very communicative, so I like to kind of just start sending sketches right away. And when Nathan told me about the concept for the variant cover, the Biggie Smalls, he had it all organized and beautifully set up, and I was like, perfect, let's go with this. So you start with the shape of the dog, and I just started thinking about my terrible dogs. When I have Chihuahuas, the ones that I have now are beautiful and nice. And anyways, but I start sketching, and my process, it's like I start. Depends on the piece, right? But I start kind of drawing by hand. So I just start rough sketches by hand, or sometimes on my iPad, and I go back and forth between digital and analog, if you may. So I scan the piece, and then I come back and I would just kind of work on it digitally. But all the colors are done digitally, or in the iPad.
That's nice.
Yeah. And something about my drawings is I'm always being intrigued by the idea of each drawing has to tell a story on its own. You know what I mean? Like even when I'm laying out my comic books, my own comic books, I start everything without words. And the idea is, if I can follow the frames, if I can follow the story without words, then the words just it's like the work is done, right? Like ideally, my dream is to do a comic book with no words. And then so the cool thing about it is just like because it's a visual media, right? So it's like
Right.
and there's controversy on that, right? Because there's the writers like David, like that's how they see the ideas, but they also use images. And then there's the storytellers, like visual storytellers that use drawings to tell the stories. So I kind of dwell in between the two. So what I tried to do, because English was my second language, it's my second language. So what I tried to do is to make it as universal as possible with the drawings. So like not try to not be redundant. So if the guy is jumping, you know what I'm saying? Like you don't say the guy is jumping. You just
Right.
kind of let it be. It's like a film tactic, I guess. So that's something how I go about laying out my panels, etc.
That's awesome.
Okay. That's
Can't wait to
nice.
see this movie or
Oh,
Right.
animation. Maybe the
and the
animated
animation
cartoon first.
first.
Animation, yes.
Mhm.
I know you got to have a
Artist.
lot of stories behind you. I mean, I'm looking back there. You must be a big Star Wars fan.
I'm a huge Star Wars
Uh,
fan. Mandalorian,
right.
Batman Lego. I got Batman on this side. I got
Yeah.
Hellboy. I'm a huge Mignola fan. For my art, it's very much influenced by Mignola. I like to say like it's a mix of Mignola and Adventure Time. Have you guys seen that show?
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it's
Yes.
like here's a cover of Red. Um,
Nice.
Nice.
so it's kind of like a very contrast, dark, black and white, and then kind of simple shapes. So that's why it was a challenge when I did that drawing for these guys because here it's the sketch. I don't know if you're gonna see it.
Woo!
Whoa.
That is nice.
It's so cool.
It
Tempos is
is.
about to ask you how much you want for that. He's about to
Yes.
ask you that.
Same.
I need that on the wall. I need that
No,
on the
you
wall.
don't. You got enough on your wall.
And he doesn't have the crown, so the crown was added later. Um,
That Biggie one, hands down. I love
yeah,
it.
that's I don't know. Do you guys have it with you? I don't have it with me,
I
but
do too.
No.
I would have been
No.
like this, like a baby. It's
it's
so beautiful.
it was a color version somewhere out there.
Yeah.
So the series was fully funded by the Kickstarter, right? And so now we're in the production for the rest of the series. What should
Yep.
we expect from Night of the Chihuahuas without spoiling it? What are
Dude,
some do you need any voiceover artists like myself and Miss Keys
I
maybe and
would
Taylor?
love to,
Look, I
especially now
can
that I
do.
know that service is available. I would absolutely love that.
I can do a little. Put a little country twang in it. Like,
Yeah.
hey y'all. Yeah. You
You
know,
would
Yeah.
let's
you
go.
could be Samantha. You could totally be Officer Branch, Officer Samantha.
Yes.
So
Yes, I'll do it. I'll do it.
yeah,
So
she's I mean, I love that character. I think she reminds it's I grew up with with a single mom who was super no nonsense, and so a lot of her attitude towards Leon reminds me of the way that my mom would just the smack upside the head anytime I was screwing around or something, and that kind of mentality. So you got to have that attitude with her, that swagger. But the next few issues are gonna get so issue 3 is kind of like our bridge episode issue between the survivor. Now we've got all the survivors together. We know what the threat is, and it kind of becomes a siege mentality where the Chihuahuas have everybody surrounded in one location, and it's up to these survivors to try to figure out how they can work together to survive, or else all their infighting and bickering is going to prohibit them from, forming a cohesive defense, and then the Chihuahuas are going to get in. So now that we're dealing with people in the Chihuahuas massed in one location, the carnage steps up quite a bit. And so we have up to this point, we've had the Chihuahuas attacking people, and it's been a lot of fun. But we are going to have them taking it up quite a bit. And I don't want to spoil it, but you're going to get to see quite a bit of mayhem.
Hey.
you can spoil it just a little bit. Just I'm
But
just
we're
kidding.
gonna
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
we're gonna
Don't
see
do
what
it.
happens when Chihuahuas decide that somebody is a chew toy and grab them from either end, and we'll see some different things like that. So
Nice.
yeah, it should be pretty cool. It's building up to quite the horrifying climax, and then I've got some ideas for that. So it's going to resolve itself in 5 issues, this story arc, and then we've got some concepts for the next storyline, and then the next one after that, and then hopefully we can keep going. I mean, there's a whole lot of more stories to tell in what I've dubbed the Chihuahua verse, but we'll see,
Mm.
The Chihuahua
That's
verse. I
awesome.
like that.
The Chihuahua
right?
version.
I like that.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and share I think I'm gonna try and share a. Let me make sure it's the right one. Nope, of course it's not.
And while
I
he's
love.
doing that, it's funny how the beginning starts. It's a boy and a girl. They're doing something in the tent. It's like a basic one of the horror movies that you'll watch from back in the day.
Right.
And then the way it turns
Yep.
out, it's like I don't want to ruin anything for our fans. It's just the way
Yeah.
it starts is like, oh my god, this is gonna be so good. It's like a
Yes.
horror movie, zombie movie. Like what is gonna happen? The mix of it is so beautiful. Congrats on it. I definitely
Yeah.
agree.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I
Loved
mean,
it.
this
Loved
this
it.
was a love letter to all my favorite monster movies, and it was very much inspired by, that stinger that opens up, that it kind of establishes who the monsters are and what the threat is, and then just everything about this series is, I try to take as many of the conventions and kind of turn them on their head or have a little bit of fun with them. But it is very much a love letter to the monster movie genre.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Such a cool concept, man. Like I think yeah, I love it.
Thank
I
you.
never heard of. So it's like once I got into it, I was like, wow, like look at this. This is brand new to the indie genre. Thank you. Like we needed this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So here on
Well,
the
and
screen,
it's
we're just showing the comic book. This is issue number one, but
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that's towards the middle. I think there on the right, that right page, I believe is like the last page of issue one, and just kind of gives you like building up some of the scope of what happened to this town that the survivors are in, where just about everybody's been wiped out already.
that's a
Right.
shame.
And then you hit us with the to be continue.
I know, right?
Yep.
To be continued.
Yeah, so there on the left, that's issue. That's like the first few pages. The ill-fated couple. That's it's like in all those movies, right? It was like the couple that's trying to get their freak on, and
Right.
not to be
Yeah.
not to be had, man. The morality police shows up and just tells them no.
Okay.
Enough. See the voiceovers. I'm really hesitating, but
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, it's over, kids. You better stop.
Nice.
Cool. Well, I wanted to show the audience some of this artwork. Just really cool. I love the fact that it's different artists as well.
Hmm.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
the covers
Mhm.
are freaking amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
Beautiful.
these
Beautiful.
are gorgeous,
I
gorgeous, and
love
it's
that one too.
one and
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Um,
that one's my favorite. I got that one up on my wall. But like our whole goal was to have, your normal cover that kind of tells somebody who's walking by and want, oh wow, that I can guess from the cover what the story is about. But then we also have like the Chihuahua, the Chihuahua Jaws and the Chihuahua Godzilla, and so it's like every issue we're going to try to have an homage to a classic monster using
Mhm.
a Chihuahua.
I love that concept. That's so
Right.
original. And yeah.
Ooh, there it
So
And then
is.
Biggie Small, and then Chihuahua
There it
Smalls.
is.
Yes, there it is.
It's woo,
it's a
gorgeous.
bad cover.
I'm glad we
Uh,
brought this up.
Yeah.
So we got Kickstarter. Manu just wrote. So we got to go to Kickstarter. There we go.
So the Kickstarter is actually over. We had 370% funding, so it was a success. Kickstarter is over, but if you go to our website, nightofthechihuahuas.com, or which is also linked through the Instagram account that's there on page, you can get everything that was there because it was a victory for us. So all that
Nice.
will be available to anybody who is not able to jump onto the Kickstarter when it was live.
Gotcha.
Ooh. Because
There
if
we
you
go.
want it, better jump
Yep.
on it.
It is there, and the thing is, like I always tell people too when we're at these fan fests and conventions and stuff, and it's like everything that we're making right now, every penny that this project receives is going right back into it because until we
mhm.
get done with issue 5, I mean, we're still working on this series. It's like we can
Mhm.
uh, basically, it's like okay, now the Kickstarter, yay, we can it's funded, we can make it, but we still have more to do. There's still a lot
Mhm.
of more conventions we can reach, more outreach that we can do with the fans across the country. We're in, gosh, I think it was like, I want to say like 8 states right now, like 20 different stores in 8 different states. And we're
Mhm.
just trying to, all of everything that we do is word of mouth. So we
Right.
don't have a marketing arm. We don't have a giant publisher behind us. We're not in Diamond, the big uh, the comic preview book that all the shops get and everything. So it's like everything that we do is just word of mouth. And so the more that we get out there, the more people that back us, the more that we have to get this work out there, because it's gotten such a great response. It's obvious that there's a big market for this. People really have
Yeah,
been responding to it well, telling all their friends, and so we know it's out there. It's just a matter of keeping up the grind and the hustle, and
yeah,
getting it in people's hands.
That's
Right.
what's up. Hitting goals. I like that.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
You know
Support
what?
indie for
Yeah,
Right.
sure.
for sure.
For sure.
And you kind of hit one of my other questions in the book. So you said events. What is your best events that you have been to? Like y'all went into knowing that it's gonna be a great day and had a lot of fun. Like, can y'all tell me like a basic beautiful story that you have, or what Comic Cons, things like that? Because we comic book heads, we all love going to Comic Cons, and I seen
Yeah.
that y'all been to a couple. So what's some good stories that you have?
Uh-oh.
Uh,
Can you tell us?
If you don't
yeah,
mind.
I'll keep the G. I'll give you the PG rated version now. I'm just
Okay.
kidding. So, I mean, my thing was like, I've always, so born and raised in Phoenix. The Phoenix Fan Fusion was amazing to see. The backing that we got. Me and Victor, actually, we both went to the Tucson Comic Con, and Tucson was a very important place to me in my birth, and the comic book takes place. The police officer is from Tucson. He's wearing like a Tucson PD
Mhm.
T-shirt, and then it takes place in southern Arizona, south of Tucson. But Tucson, they showed up and they backed us so much, and like I had family showing up from I hadn't seen in years, who had just heard that I was going
Yeah,
to be here, and people walking by that just the number. I mean, Tucson's got like a
yeah,
huge Chihuahua population, and the number of people that came up to me to show me pictures of their Chihuahua, and they were like, "Oh, I'm going to buy this for my
yeah.
nana. Or I'm going to buy this." And then we had like a Pima County animal control showed up, and they bought a whole big old set because they were like, "I'm handing this out to everybody because we all hate Chihuahuas." So it was like Chihuahua lovers, Chihuahua haters, people that were happy to see Southern Arizona put on a comic book page, which I mean, when has that ever happened? And so
Yeah,
that response that we got there, it was like one of the best single day events that we had. And I remember at the end of it, man, my voice was just shot. I was talking to
yeah,
so many people, and it was exhausting. And it was also like I was just on a high afterwards. It was like
yeah,
it was cool because that's a story that I wanted to tell about where I'm from, about the people that I see, or that I saw, that I knew, that I love, and like this state that I'm from. And you know when you're out there trying to get somebody else to make your work, it's like they're always going to say, well, does it have to be there? Why don't you do it here? Or does it have to
yeah,
be, they all have to be Latinos? Why can't we have, we're going to put a different race or whatever on it? And so it's like we're telling the stories that we want to tell using the characters that we want to see in the places that we're from, and it's something that not everybody else is doing. And so the response that we got for that was really cool.
That's
yeah.
what's up.
I love the conventions. I love. I mean,
Yeah.
for me as an artist, it's. I've been going to conventions like for a long time. As a just kind of visitor, right? But then my first convention was in 2015, and it was in Tucson, and I had nothing on my. I had literally one book and like a couple of drawings, and my son. Still have the picture, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but the Tucson community was so welcoming. This community, because that con it's smaller than the Phoenix one. The
Hmm.
Phoenix is awesome. Like I was a guest at the Phoenix Con in 2019, and they're amazing. The staff is amazing. The organization, like how they work with artists. It has its times. It went up and down, but like it's. I feel like with me, my personal experience has been great, very welcoming. But conventions are amazing. I just love talking to people, like hearing their stories,
Yeah.
their feedback on your work. It's amazing. It's just every time I do it, I just get a high. Like I'm like so excited to keep drawing. Especially
Yeah.
when you get the young ones. I'm a huge proponent of reading for kids, right? So it's like comic books are underrated, and people don't they think they're just cartoons and whatnot, and or the big names, the big superheroes, and when they come to you and they see you're doing something different, and then they welcome it, it's so rewarding.
Yeah.
So we're actually going to be in Vegas.
Oh,
Some of
cool.
us, some of the people on the chat will be in Vegas as well. We're
Yeah,
looking forward to, hopefully, I'm not sure if you all will be there, but it'd be cool to see y'all at that
Right.
con in Vegas.
yeah,
I think
Um,
we are trying to figure out the logistics of that right now.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
hopefully.
I was I was thinking about it too. I was thinking about it. Somebody
Mhm.
told me about it, and I was like, well, maybe I should do it.
Yeah, no thinking. You got to do it. You got
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Right? Like Nike, just do it. Just do it.
Yeah, yeah,
I hope we get to meet you in one of these Comic Cons. That would be so much fun. I would love to
that would
go
be cool.
Absolutely.
in person, interview
Yeah,
you guys, take pictures, have that memory
yes,
with y'all.
that would be so
Mhm.
cool.
Right.
I would love
And
to get a signed copy of the Biggie
Oh
Biggie
book.
book.
yes, you're gonna get it no matter what, you know.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
You know what?
With the
Speaking
COA?
of that,
No.
with a COA, a co-op. We're gonna get a co-op.
Talk to David about that.
We'll be happy to hook you up. Absolutely.
Oh,
so
nice, nice.
speaking of artists, Victor, tell me if you were to do a collaboration, who would you do it
Mm,
with?
really? Like, shit, there's so many. But like, uh, I'll be honored if like Mike Mignola just like hearted like liked one of my drawings. Like I don't care like but I would love to work even if it's a cover for one of his books. Like that would be my dream. Honestly,
Mhm.
I'm a huge fan of his work and huge inspiration. It's like the guy is like so like chill about everything. Um, but there's a few other artists that are more independent artists that have done an amazing work that basically kind of helped me grow because I'm self-taught. I loved comic books since I was in high school. I always dream of making my own comic book. I made my first comic book when I was like 17 years old. It was all in Spanish, and I still have like it was all like in a copy paper, like and then it wasn't until like later in life where I met some people like Jason Brubaker, who has a book called The Unnatural Talent, that it's all about self-publishing and putting your work out there and art. And then Jake Parker, who has an amazing following on. He's kind of like the creator of Inktober,
Mm.
and his following is amazing, and he's just a great person, mentor, friend. So these guys, I kind of follow closely and learn some of the tricks, and then so if I were to collaborate, I would love to work with Jake in something. That's another one.
That's awesome. I hope he sees this, man. I
Nice.
hope he like sees this. Like, you know what? Let's talk.
Yeah, yeah. No, we talk all the time. He's just too busy. He did a drawing for me. I have on the wall. It was like off my other comic book because I did. Here's Flying Somnia. So here's my other comic
Mhm.
book.
Oh, he
Um,
flexing. He flexing, y'all.
I
yeah,
see. I
yeah,
see.
yeah, yeah. But the cool thing about this one is I was able to do this.
Oh,
I had the character actually 3D
Ooh,
printed.
Here we go,
Oh,
Tempos.
that's awesome.
wow.
you got pictures,
Yes,
right?
and painted
My
it.
3D
Uh,
printer.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm not gonna take it out. It's on the wall. But Jake, he did his character next to my character, and it's kind of cool to see when those things happen. And you see your heroes kind of collaborating with you.
Yeah.
It's cool. But like my dream, honestly, it's working with on like a Hellboy comic book.
Ooh.
Hellboy.
That would be
That'd
Okay.
be
awesome.
awesome. That'd
Yeah.
be really
Nice.
awesome.
I would
I'm
love
gonna
to
give
see
I'm gonna
that.
give a call to my cousin Mike Mignola and see because he's probably Puerto Rican. It's
Uh,
Mignola. It
I'm
might be
pretty
Mignola.
sure. I'm pretty sure we're related. We're related.
Yeah.
We're like six. But you know who else? Scotty Young. Scotty Young. It's an amazing
I love
inspiration for my his work, his attitude towards sharing the work. Like I love artists like that are real. You know what I mean? There's a lot of artists out there that they think they're the shit, but they're sorry. Can I say that? Like,
Yeah, you can.
You
This
can
is
uh,
say
Oh, you
uh,
just did.
like and just get grounded and don't forget where you came from, right? Because like I mean we all start somewhere. We all started with the
Mhm.
basics, right? We all started kind of like liking somebody's work, and then you get up there and you forget about where you came from. And I try not to. And I grew up in the
Yeah.
projects in Puerto Rico. I somebody told me once, never forget the road you walked because you never know if you have to walk back. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
it's
right.
like keep it real. So I try to always keep a humble attitude, and this is who I am. I teach my kids, my sons, and and this is I try to this is something that I want to have fun with. That if I'm not having fun, I'm not gonna work on it. It's something that I want others to enjoy, and I'm doing it because I love the art. I love comic books.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Y'all heard it here. Victor said it. Bring it back to basics. Let's go.
Yes.
So speaking
You
with
know
the
what?
inspiration, Biney said has a question here. It says, "What writer was an inspiration for you?" So I'm guessing either
David.
one of you, but David.
Uh, Gosh, man, I think the first comic books that I ever read that I was really like opened my eyes to like what a comic book could be, where it started with Frank Miller's work, in his Batman run, doing the Sin City. I remember Sin City when that came out. I was floored. I was just like, I had no idea that a comic book could look like this. Could the crazy hard boiled style of it? I had been raised just like everybody else. I had been raised on superhero comic books, and then to see that departure from it and how dark everything was and just how it was so cool. So Frank Miller's work started with me, and then I was exposed to Alan Moore, and then just devoured everything I could get my hands on, and like how literary he got, how verbose and beautiful and detailed everything that he did was. And then lately I've been a huge James Tinian. I always never know how to pronounce the last name. But James Tenney the fourth, he does the Something is Killing the Children. He
Mhm.
just wrapped up the Nice House on the Lake, and
Mhm.
everything that he does is just
It's
one
amazing.
humbling, because like you read it and I'm just like, wow, like what the hell do I think I'm doing trying to compete in the same in the same industry as this guy? But
Yeah,
I love everything that I've read from him, and so there's so
yeah.
many good authors.
Nice.
Do you like Jeff Lemire?
I do, yeah.
His stuff is awesome, dude. Like I'm
Hmm.
reading the vampire series that what was it called? With the kids that they're vampires. That's actually a pretty cool book.
What the heck is the
I
name of that
forgot
one
it.
again? Yes, I know which one you're talking about.
Oh, man.
Also, gosh, I'm drawing a blank right now, but Monstrous is phenomenal too, and that's more like
Yes.
magical, real, like fantasy, dark fantasy for sure. But I
He's
really love
nice.
that series as well. Little
Little
Monsters, that's
Ooh,
it. Yep.
monsters,
yeah,
yes.
good
Yeah, that's a good
stuff.
one.
Good
I
stuff.
think
Monsters.
one of
I
our
do read
folks,
monsters.
Adrian, well, we call him almost vintage. He would know. He's kind of like the trivia master with, especially with indies. He loves some indies. Matter of
Yes,
fact,
he
I'm about to
Nice.
does.
flex one of his pieces. He
Nice,
actually did that, which is really cool, of
Oh, that's
Damian Wayne.
awesome.
Yeah.
nice.
Nice.
That is
So
awesome.
he's a seller as well. So he does these backboard comics drawings for people who want them. So
Yeah, love that.
yeah.
So I do have one question for David. I hope
All
that
right.
you can at least speak a little bit towards it. Going way back, I believe you worked for Sony back in the day.
Back in the day, man, that was my first job in Los Angeles. Yeah.
Tell me about it. Like, how did that get you into like everything that you got into? Because you have a lot of projects I would love to talk about too, especially the ones you've just finished. I believe, is it Red Riding Hood
Yeah, yeah, the Red Riding Hoods. That was a horror fiction podcast that I did.
or Survivor or Girl Survivors? Last,
Yeah, so it's all about a team of final girls. So they were each the lone survivor at the end of a horror movie, and it basically like it starts with this girl. She just survived the end of a horror movie. The slasher was coming after her. She's about to die, and then all of a sudden, this team of girls shows up and guns them down. And she learns that they were all survivors of their own massacres. They all team up, and they're being led by an enigmatic figure named Mother, who is guiding them on this hunt for monsters. And they're uncovering this apocalyptic conspiracy, uniting all of these creatures that have been resurrected and coming after people.
Wow.
sounds
David, do
Nice.
you
amazing.
sleep well at
What?
night? I need to know. I mean, this is
I have the cleanest conscience and you would believe. No, I'm just kidding. I have man, I was always, dude, like, I mean, I was like 6, 7 years old and I was drawing things. I went to Catholic school, and like the nuns would be calling up my parents like, dude, your son needs an exorcism. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on with it. But I've always been fascinated with the macabre. I've been fascinated with horror, with the why things scare us. Not just the fact that things scare us, but why do they scare us? And I've that's always been something that really appeals to me, is kind of deconstructing these monsters and figuring out, like, what do the monsters represent? Like, what's the bigger fear behind us and stuff. And I just I've always been like that, and it drove my parents nuts. And then finally, I think once I started getting more serious with my creative pursuits, it made sense to them a little bit more. But like they never understood it. And now it's funny because my daughter is 12 and she is following in those footsteps where like I see that in her, and I feel like I'm better equipped to handle it. I don't freak out as much because I understand it a little bit more. And so it's like
Yeah.
trying to like shepherd her and guide her without letting her. It's because it's like you don't want to tell her like, oh yeah, this is all awesome. You're 12 years old. You should totally watch all of these extreme horror movies. It's like, no, that's not the case. But I understand why you're intrigued by it. And so it's like
Yeah,
responsibly guiding that.
that's cool.
That's
We
Nice.
had
dope.
another.
I
You,
got off topic, man. What was the original question? It was uh,
Sony.
Tony. Oh yeah, yeah. So I graduated from college, and an uncle, my dad's cousin, got me a job because he was in the union as a key grip, and so he got me a job as a production assistant. And I worked on a movie called National Security with Martin Lawrence and Steve Zahn, and it was really brutal work. Being a production assistant sucks, and really opened my eyes to like I always thought like creating movies was so awesome, and like it was such a labor of love, and then to be exposed to what a thankless job it is to most people. And like I'd be working with these guys and I was like, oh man, I read the script, this must be the scene where this, and they were like, yeah, I don't care, I'm just here to do it. I'm just here to put together a camera rig or do something like that. Like I don't care about the art behind it. And it really like disillusioned me from the idea of working in that studio system because it is so there's no soul to it. It's like people aren't passionate about it really. I
Mhm.
mean, creatives are like once you get into like the writers, the actors, the directors and stuff, they definitely are. But like I was working on the set itself, and it was such a just felt like a factory job. Like there was nothing to it. So I left Los Angeles, moved back to Phoenix, and started doing independent film because I thought for some reason I thought that'd be easier. It was definitely not easier, but we did make some stuff.
Nice.
We
Nice.
did have
Okay.
someone
Nice.
ask a question by need. Victor, if you were to work on a mainstream character, which one do you feel would work best with your artwork?
Nice. Good question.
Oh, I, s- I'm fascinated with drawing Spider-Man. I love to work on a mainstream, like on Spider-Man. I have done. Hey, man, I hate flashing that so much, but I do have a drawing right next to me here.
Oh,
I
flex,
I,
flex.
I knew
Yeah,
I knew when we were on camera with you, you're going to start flashing people, but
yeah. So
That
that
is
that
nice.
was that
that's
was
awesome.
That's a
yeah.
flex.
So I mean, when Miles Morales came out, and I found out he was half Puerto Rican, I'm like, of course,
Hmm.
like I'm gonna just go crazy with my fan art, with about Miles. And then I grew up with Spider Man. I found a picture of my. I went to visit my mom in Puerto Rico this last November, and she found a picture of me. I think I was 2 years old, and I'm holding a Spider Man or something like that. It was like a birthday party, and so it's always been there. So I think
That's awesome.
Spider Man and Batman for sure. I love drawing Batman. I'm a huge
Nice.
fan. I love the character. I have like a whole wall of Batman. So
Victor,
That's
you
I
said
love
the
awesome.
that y'all
wrong
keep
thing.
y'all
I
Okay.
nerds.
am
Nerds,
Batman.
You
I'm
do
Batman.
the same thing we do. Like we fascinated, we love it. We want to put it in our walls and just
it's
flex.
it's crazy, man. Like my wife is like, "You're a hoarder." I'm like, "No, I'm a collector."
Oh, oh, good. So everybody's wife does that. Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure. So,
We have a problem, and this is how this is how we deal with
oh no,
it.
no, nothing to do with the fact that with female. Just my wife is always telling me the same thing. She's like, "Honey, how many more comic books are you gonna buy?" And I'm like,
Yep.
"No,
Yep. It's
We never
research. That's what I
know.
call it. It's
yeah."
research.
So I tell her,
We never know.
It's research. I like that.
I call it a
yeah.
force field. It's a force field for me. I'm like, oh, this is my space. Do
Okay.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Yeah. I mean,
space medicine. Keep
it's either
growing.
that or I'm gonna go spend it drinking a beer at the bar. So it's like, okay, it's
I'm there.
or both. I can do my beer here at home, drinking, watching
Yeah.
reading my comic books or whatever.
Comic books is all literature. I mean, we read, we learn, we
Yeah.
grow, we can
Yeah.
adapt it. We could look at it and be like, man, I went through this kind of stuff. That's the
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
stuff I've been through, especially reading Wolverine when
Oh
I was
yeah.
little.
Yeah.
But so let me ask you this. I don't know if you could tell me this. Have you being in Puerto Rico, have you ever done graffiti?
When I was younger, I did, but so I'm like I said, I'm the youngest, so all my brothers got in trouble already before. So they kind of like, no, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. So, and I mean, but I kind of like maybe did it once, but I wasn't good at it. I mean, I like highly respect graffiti artists, because it is something that it's just amazing. It blows my mind,
There's a
just
lot
to
in
be
Puerto
able.
Rico. Yeah, that
Oh, and it's amazing. I have a good friend, Dos, who he started. We went to school together, and he started doing some graffiti and whatnot, and his stuff was getting recognized. But yeah, no, absolutely. Like it's something that I like. The other day, I was sketching something, and I'm like, oh, that'd be cool if I do some graffiti words. And I was like, I don't even know where to start. And like, it's just it's I lost that connection completely.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
We have one
Nice.
more question from the gallery. David, same question. If you were to write a mainstream comic, what would you want to write?
I it's funny because I think like Main Street. I mean, is Something is Killing the Children considered mainstream? Because I know it's Boom Studios, so it's not like a small label at all. But since it's not like DC Image or Marvel, I wonder if that would be considered one. Because I've got some ideas for a separate house. They have their monster hunting houses, and I would love to create a house that's focused in the Southwest. I know right now the
Mhm.
story arc is in New Mexico, but it's like an outsider visiting New Mexico. And I've just, being from the Southwest, from the desert, I think that it'd be amazing to do something that's a little bit more steeped in like Mesoamerican mythology and capturing some of that. And so if I could do something like that, I always joked around that I had an idea for Batman where like Bruce Wayne is forced to confront the fact that like, as the as a billionaire CEO of an industry, he is responsible for most of the crime that's happening in Gotham City, and like, having to confront something on more like those social economic terms, but I don't know if that would go over very well. So maybe I
I
could
mean,
create
That'd
some
be
kind of
awesome.
spin-off. I don't know.
look at White Knight. If you read White
Mhm.
Knight,
Yeah.
Joker
Oh,
took
Yeah.
over.
yeah.
He made him look like he was the bad guy. I mean,
Yep.
Hmm.
that
I
would
got
be
to
a good
rethink my
concept.
life now. Thank you, David.
Man, this has been a blast for y'all. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
dope. I love
Well,
it.
I got
Heck yeah, it
something.
is.
I got
Uh
something
oh.
to
Uh
say.
oh.
I got
Uh
something to
oh.
say.
Uh oh.
Look, y'all doing all the talking. Let me talk. No, I was kidding. I was kidding. Mine. I would just like to ask if there's any advice or anything that you can give somebody like that motivational push, um, for anybody that's interested in doing what you're doing. Just to, you know, you got this.
Yeah.
Besides that, you can't say that.
No, I would say so. I'm not going to say you got this. What I am going to say is that you cannot do this alone. And it is really like the comic book community is amazing, and it is a community. And there's so many of us that support each other. And if you find your tribe, go to your local comic book shop, go to meetup events, go to something, find people that are as passionate as you are. Start from passion, then go down. Talent, in my opinion, talent will always come after passion. I'd rather work with somebody who is less talented but has more passion for this than somebody who is amazingly talented but is just considering it as a paycheck, or they're only looking out for themselves, kind of thing. But if you find somebody who is passionate about your project, about the story that you want to tell, and you form that team, you can get it done for sure. There's avenues. It's never been easier to get it done with the things that we have available to us, like Kickstarter, and the fact that things can be done digitally, and the fact that you can reach a community through social media. But it's also been never been more difficult because now it's so easy to get diluted and fall victim to the algorithms, and having to get out there. And so don't expect immediate success because it is a grind, but be willing to do the grind and you will go as far as you want. And but start with passion. You've got to be passionate about it, and you got to find people that are just as passionate as you are.
Yeah. I mean, I want to add to that, and that's a beautiful question. Um, I'll say passion. Passion can get you also to a certain point, but you also have to add grit, because
For sure.
passion. A boxer could be passionate about the boxing, and he gets punched in the face, and he's like, "I'm walking out." Right. So you have to have grit and be able to resist the challenges you're going to be confronting, like
Yeah.
everything you mentioned, the algorithm, people, the voices in your head telling you you suck because you're comparing to everything else. Um, so you got to plow through all that and ultimately just do it because you want to do it. You know, as an artist, it's very challenging, mostly because we are literally comparing all the time. You know, people will compare. Books will be judged by the cover. It's ridiculous, like how this comic book world has gone into a covered game. And as a self-published, and David can tell you about it, and you all know, that's how what we're competing against. You know, we're
Yeah.
want to move the merchandise, so now we had to kind of get different artists and we got to get eyes on the product. So as an artist that's coming out, or somebody like, you know, it's out there that you know likes to draw, immediate thing would be like, oh, I'm not good enough. Well, guess what? Yes, you are. You're good. We all started somewhere. I mean,
Mhm.
follow, like, don't be afraid of copying your favorite artist. I mean, I'm the first one to tell you, I went on like a year of research where I was studying my favorite artists. You can look at my art and be like, oh, that's the Mignola era of my work. You know, like, I'm not kidding. And I did start dialing down until you kind of find your own voice. Another thing, give yourself a challenge, like give yourself a 30-day challenge. You know, Inktober is the first one that comes to mind. That's how I came up with Red. It was through a 30-day challenge. It was, okay, I want to do, because people ask me all the time, so how do you find time? It's like the time is there. You'd be surprised. Um, so what I do is I sit in front of the TV watching the show with my iPad and I start drawing. Right. So during that 30-day challenge, I found out that I created a habit. So the point that my family was like, "Wait, you're not drawing today?" So it became the norm that I would come home from work, I'll sit down for an hour, I'll draw, and then I'll do everything else. So that was my time, and it was just like meditation, and I would just go about it, you know. And I started like everybody else doing like horrible drawing, like it's so practice, practice, practice. I mean, I'm talking to artists in particular, right? Like if you're out there, you want to draw, don't be afraid. Go to Comic Cons, talk to these artists, show your work, ask questions. But more than anything, just draw, practice, you know, and like that
Yeah.
passion turn into grit. And I promise you, there's nothing more beautiful than holding your work in your hands. Like it's like,
I
Exactly.
agree.
Yep.
you know,
Right.
like, okay, you said you want. I have this thing in front of me. It's like Yoda says, "Do or do not." There is no try, right? So it's like, oh, I want to try to do a comic book. No, no, you do it, good or bad. It doesn't matter. Finish, not perfect. That's what Jake says. Finish, not perfect. You
Yep.
can walk to a convention and be like, "Hey, David, check out my work. You want to trade?" And that's how we met. I mean, we get like,
Yeah.
"Hey, here's my comic." He showed me his comic, and then a year later, we're collaborating. So it's just, it's amazing.
Yeah. And Red is awesome. So if you haven't checked it out, if anybody watching this has not checked it out, you should totally check it out. And Victor #2 should be coming, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm almost done. I'm
Yeah.
like 3 pages away from
Oh,
finishing.
I can't.
And
I can't wait.
yeah, and I'm crazy because I'm starting a new one, and this one's gonna be just in the character design. But that's how I normally would like to come up with like 2 or 3 characters and then start my stories around it. And this one is gonna be very much focused on the Southwest and the problems that we're having with water shortage or water.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
like right up my alley.
yeah, yeah. So we can talk. Maybe we can talk, David.
Heck yeah.
Something that I'm planning here.
Okay.
Nice.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Man, y'all awesome. I hope we do this again real soon. I hope we meet each
Absolutely.
other. This is
We have to.
we
We have
we
to.
just
If
some
we can get
nerds.
up to Vegas, that'd be amazing. But otherwise, yeah, we got to figure something out because that'd be great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Or
just play.
maybe like
All I heard was is y'all are going to Vegas.
so
So you're
You are going to
manifest that.
Vegas.
All right, we're going.
yeah. I mean, the Puerto Rico con is happening in April, so I'm not gonna be able to go. Yeah, you guys should go down there.
Man, yeah,
Man, I would love to go to
I
Puerto
would love
Rico at
to as
Comic Con.
well. So,
Yeah,
so
Mm,
we have
Speak
talked
my
about a
Spanish.
Gen X conference in Puerto Rico.
Ooh.
Mm.
So we, as a collective, have talked about that for a while. So we may have to make that happen. I might just have to jump on the bandwagon there, but we're
Heck yeah.
definitely looking forward to Vegas for sure. But
Cool. Yeah.
we know we're at the tail end. We want to make sure that everybody has all the questions asked. There's some Boricuas in here. A lot of people flexing. They love it. And then people say Vegas, baby. I don't know what Adrian's talking about, but I hope hope what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So
Exactly.
it's all good.
These guys are
Mm.
talking about jumping out of airplanes, so I don't even
Yeah,
want to.
yeah,
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 Ooh.
yeah. I'm gonna skydive with my homie Marcus,
I'm gonna think about it.
I almost got Miss Ebony, but then she backed out on me. So
Wait,
No,
it was nice meeting
no.
you.
Yeah.
I think I'm back on it. I think I'm gonna still do it.
I think I
That's
will sing.
dude.
that's
That's
fine.
the one thing. That's the one thing I would never do.
Jump out of a
Jumping out of a
plane.
plane.
No, no. Like
You
Mike,
know,
there's
it's
another.
funny. I'd rather jump out of a plane because I feel like I have a little bit more time with myself to talk about if things go wrong versus bungee cord jumping. To me,
I'm
bungee cord
Yeah.
jumping,
100%.
I'm like, what? Did
Uh,
I just get 2 seconds of my life to think about what I did and didn't do, or
I don't
Yeah.
Right.
know.
call my mama? Can I do a lot
Oh
of other things?
Lord.
Yeah,
Give me some
no.
more skydiving seconds that I can
Yeah.
claim.
I met an old lady once that said, if God wanted you to fly, he would have given you wings. I'm like, no,
That
I
sounds
get
like a
it.
comic book.
I know, right?
I would like to say it today. We call that the Chancleta Diaries. So there
Yes.
we go.
The
There
Concleta
we
Yes.
go.
Diaries. I'll read that.
Yes.
Oh man, that's awesome.
All right,
Heck
so we're
yeah.
at the
So
tail end. Miss Keys is gonna close us out.
yes. Well, first I want to thank both you and David for joining us today. And also we would like to thank the comic book community, including our Illuminati Flex fam. You know who you are. Where's our Flex family at? Where you at? Where you at? But again, remember to subscribe, like, share with all your people, and come back for future episodes with dope creators. Part 3 of the Heroes in Crisis, dealing with social justice in comic books. And maybe, just maybe, you'll see us interviewing your favorite local comic shop, or as we know it as LCS for short. We are the dream team who will always bring things back to basics, y'all. Always bring it back. So, you guys, I am Miss Ebony Keys.
I'm your boy Tempos.
And I'm Gen X, and we will see you next time on the dopest, the flyest, and now your most favorite podcast about comic book culture ever. So couple weeks we'll be putting out some stuff. Make sure that you follow these folks. Do you have any hashtags and Instagrams and all that you'd like to promote? And when's the night of Chihuahua? We got so engrossed in who you were and we talked about Chihuahuas, but when are the next ones coming out produced as far as the Chihuahuas concerned? So first the Instagram and then the Chihuahuas.
Yeah, I'll be at Mile High Comics in Denver this weekend with issue number 3. So I guess that's technically our launch of issue 3. And then issue 4 is almost done. So I don't have an exact time, but you can expect that in the next few months. And then we'll get cracking on issue 5, which I'm super excited about because the script is absolutely insane. So
Can't wait.
Awesome. Awesome. And you guys can find me on Instagram at votlines, V as in Victor, OD lines. My website is votlines.com. It's work in progress, so don't judge. And then I'm everywhere else at Votlines. I'm actually trying to. I signed up to TikTok. I think I'm gonna try TikTok as well, just to kind of
so
share
we can
some of my.
expect you twerking at some point, or what do you
Probably,
think?
I probably will. I probably do some, maybe some salsa, some merengue. We'll see what
Hey,
happens.
I'm with you. I'm with
And I'll dance for money, no for not for money. But I say for comics. Just to say that I'll dance for
okay.
comics.
Yep.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you to both. This team is so thankful that you all graced us
Yes.
today for an hour.
Yes.
I know that your time is precious, and we cannot wait to continue to support you all.
Yes.
Again, this book, we can't wait for this book and the other things that you're invested in and that you're a part of, what projects you are, and know that you're family for life with us. So
Yeah.
whenever you want to come on, please don't forget us, and we
Yeah.
definitely won't forget you. You guys were amazing. So thank you so
Cool.
much.
Yeah.
Until
Yeah,
next
this
time,
was so much
family,
fun.
we appreciate you. Until next time, we'll see you on the flip side in a few weeks. So back to basics, a comic book podcast. You know what we do. Love you.
Cool. Take care.
Gracias, familia.